Exactly.
Oh, wow. I forgot that. I blocked that out of my mind. That was the most painful stalker weapon I've ever seen in my life. Oh, no, Waddy. What have you done?
Yeah, it's not very often I come up with a series you wanted to forget about, Roddy. I tell you that. Okay, in the bottom left-hand side, as we kickstart this TVP, our red Terran player is HeRoMaRiNE.
And in the top right side, we're looking at the main base of the French Protoss, who has sent a probe out very, very early. I wonder if he's got something evil up his sleeve. This is PtitDrogo. Nope. Just gonna go into the main base. I'm surprised. This is really early. You don't see this very often. I mean, I know Huck used to do this, and then we draw a heart and we arrest SCVs, and then we compliment him on dealing a lot of damage to SCVs because Terran players didn't realize they could just fight 2 against 1 and always fought 1v1. But this is maybe not the most economic opening for Drogo. I don't also think that you have to be super paranoid about a proxy barracks when you go up against Gabe.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things that definitely isn't super necessary here to begin with, but yeah, it's kind of one of those, like you say, it's kind of a little bit off from the norm, not what we'd usually expect. And what does it really gain? I mean, this probe gets pushed back already, and now you're just kind of sat without much of much more economy or much more information or anything like that.
Okay, if you're gonna shade the first adept to the other side of the map immediately, he doesn't have a shield battery though. If you do want to shade your first adept to the other side of the map, I feel like you do need to get a battery in the main base. What he did do is prevent that command center from going down for just a couple of seconds, but a couple of seconds can sometimes really add up if you want to start harassing and delay that CC from finishing up. But no, he's gonna keep the adept at home, so that wasn't it either. I don't know, Waddy. I guess this is something Drogo likes to do.
Yeah, maybe just one of those things that he feels comfortable with. Maybe just out of habit, right? Maybe his build lines up with this, and he does it against a lot of people, even who do proxy and so on. As we do see our Twilight on the way, and it looks pretty regular in that regard as the Reaper hops up, sees a Stalker, and says, I don't need to go too deep just yet. He'll come back around as the natural, where the Stalker responds. And good zoning so far from Drogo. Not going to let that in, as the Adept does shade by, but the CC is finished and doesn't feel like that's going to find all too much damage. Already feels like it's just looking for the chance to shade on out.
Yep. Like if he would have gone with the first shade to the other side of the map immediately, then it would have shown up there before the CC was done. But yeah, you can't really do that if you don't want to build that shield battery in your main mineral line. And I guess Drogo just didn't want to take that risk. Forgot to mention, obviously, Drogo representing a team that he joined not too long ago, Litecoin Gaming. New organization. They also have Milky Cow, Hellraiser, and Neo Micah. And I feel like I'm forgetting one. Shadone, actually. He's on the team too.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see a new team making an appearance in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, this team really went under my radar. And I feel like it's fair to say not a lot of things go under my radar. And then I saw him in DreamHack with it. I was like, wait a sec, what? A team? And I was like, oh. And they're kind of legit. There's a lot of players on this team too. So I was kind of a little bit surprised when I found out about them. But yeah, really cool to see another new team, and I mean, picking up a whole bunch of players, so they seem pretty serious as well. That's always awesome, right? Because you get some of these teams that pick up like one player, and it's like, well, that's obviously nice, but to pick up like a full team, hell yeah.
Is that shade at Team Roddy? What are you doing?
Well, you guys have a bunch of players.
Yeah, I know, but I used to just have one. I only had Goblin.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I'm not a real team. I'm just an academy. It's my little passion project. Yeah, this seems to be a real team, so that
would have been shade at Team Wardy TV as well, right? Like,
well, it's okay, mate. If you want to insult yourself, insult me at the same time, it's fine, mate. I can take it.
Wouldn't mind drop is not going to make its way in with that many Stalkers there, so he'll just sit it back and just wait. And of course, that's the power of the Wouldn't Mind drop. You can just kind of chill and wait for the right moment, and in essence, it will constantly force some units to be somewhat nearby, otherwise the mines will do damage.
Feels like Drogo is going to drop a Robo Bay, right? Since he's going up to 4 gases. Having Blink is nice defensively. I feel like this is going to be one of those old school Monday night games for Gabe, where he basically does nothing for 7 minutes, but then he moves out with a really strong army, lands an interference matrix as that Raven, finished up. And then he drops the interference matrix, drops the Widow Mines, gets a good fight, and wins the game. The amount of times that I've casted that, and I'm sure you've done your fair share of casting those games as well, is too damn high, and he keeps getting away with it.
Yeah, there was a period last year where I was like, is it even worth casting the HeRoMaRinE PvT? It's like, let's put a blindfold on and count to 7 minutes, and oh, yep, just taking it off and everything's dead. HeRoMaRinE is winning the game with some siege tanks across the map. It was so predictable, but it just seemed to hit harder than anybody else's tank.
Yeah. Gabe is really good at like simplifying things. If he just feels that he hits a timing that hits hard, and if he controls his units correctly, he's gonna win. He's gonna keep on doing it until it doesn't work anymore. But the bad thing for all of us in defense was that it kept on working and was bad for everyone other than Gabe. Drogo, however, is not doing that. He's not dropping the RoboBay. He's actually going up to very quick storm. And I don't hate that, because we can also feed back the Raven. And if he lands one big storm against a 2-base push of Gabe, I mean, at this point, the economy of Drogo is big. Sure, the army is small, but all you really need is one storm on the bio and then 9 zealots to collapse on those tanks. I don't hate this in theory for Drogo.
Yep, Storm is one of those abilities that really can just turn the tide of battle very quickly if you're not expecting it as the Terran, right? If you don't quite have us. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, there's another mine still there. He knows it, though, and he's going to go and get the blink away. Very close blink away. But a blink away nonetheless, and we'll clean up those Widow mines. Yeah, I mean, if you can get the Storm off, you can hit that feedback, it can absolutely change this fight, but it's so dependent on the spellcast, and it must be spot on. As HeRoMaRinE scans, he will see the High Templar, so it's not going to be a surprise for him, and now he can be a bit more cautious with how he sets up the tanks, and about how he positions the Raven, and splits the Marines preemptively.
Okay, what Drogo needs to be very careful of is that he doesn't fly in with the Prism and it gets interference matrix, right? Because then all those High Templars are stuck inside of it. Yep. I mean, in theory, this is really not that bad for Drogo. He just needs to stay calm. He's even setting up a pretty big Zealot run by, and HeRoMaRinE really doesn't have a lot of units at home. This really comes down to just this push. I mean, Gabe should realize that a lot of units have been sent to the other side of the map. We're looking for that feedback. We get the feedback. That's actually a really good start for Drogo. Now the Zealots are going to show up in a very exposed natural. Well, if Drogo is going to win a game, I'd say this could very well be that game. A couple storms are good. This is... okay, maybe we're getting a little bit trigger happy there, but I still kind of like it for Drogo.
Yeah, these are going to do a lot of damage. The only thing I'm worried about is we have, what, one storm left, and then this bio army does not have a lot of competition against it. As we move forward now, these High Templar, there's that one storm. These few Zealots are going to try and break through, but HeRoMaRinE just has so much power on this side of the map, so he's going to make up for a lot of the workers lost. They try to recall out the probes on the third base, but that said, a lot of them still went down, and the third base itself goes down. That's never pretty for the Protoss to get up to even bases with the Terran.
Definitely isn't. I don't know why the Zealots are attacking the rocks in the natural now. I mean, Drogo did kill 30 STV, so the run by, I don't think that's where it went wrong. Just at one point, maybe he got a little bit too much in range of the tank fire, right? Like, I know that HeRoMaRinE was obviously pushing the issue, but it still felt that time was on his side, because he was going to have the defensive warpins anyway. Economically, this is not the worst scenario, but it's also not the best for Drogo, because like 24 workers ahead looks awesome, but then you realize it's triple orbital against 2 Nexus, and then it becomes a whole lot less pretty for the Protoss.
Yeah, third CC finished up as the third Nexus was dying, so it's just ready to kind of fly out there whenever HeRoMaRinE feels safe. He does lose a few tanks here, but he's got enough bio units that he's just confident. And he's going to go and get these Archons, and those are units I don't think you can afford to lose right now as Drogo, and they do both die. He tried to go back to pick one up, wasn't able to make it happen. The one good thing might just be Zealots, right? Because it is quite Marauder heavy for HeRoMaRinE, so maybe these Zealots can just be that tanky, you know, tanky enough, but no armor upgrade, plus 1 attack for HeRoMaRinE. That doesn't bode well, and now you lose the Prism as well, and obviously you're just kiting these Zealots for days. They're all gone. Archon Immortal goes down, and HeRoMaRinE cleans up a lot of valuable units at the front, and this continues to go in his favor.
Yep, obviously +1 really shining there. The Marines and Marauders with +1. Zealots not having an armor upgrade just makes them disappear so much quicker. It really did feel there was some potential there for Drogo. The run-by was very, very successful. It's just that he didn't quite have enough units to actually clean up the big push that Gabe was throwing at him. The famous Gabe push. Drogo is going to try his luck one more time, but at this point, HeRoMaRinE does have enough bio units at home to deal with those Zealots. And he knows that as long as Drogo is only on 2 bases, there isn't too much that can really go wrong for him.
Nope. It's definitely true. He's just going to see those few Zealots trying to try and run in there. Marauder taking some damage. I mean, congrats, you get a Marauder or so, and meanwhile, all your Zealots go down again. Nice try to try and catch these medevacts, but not enough Stalkers to actually get on top of them, so really just nothing going Drogo's way in the slightest at the moment, and HeRoMaRinE will end up taking this game number 1.
I wonder if Drogo just got a little bit too trigger happy with those storms. When Gabe was kind of pushing, but it was very obvious that Gabe was waiting for the moment those storms were going down. Because you don't want to run all your bio forward, because that's when it clumps up. So he's like kind of pushing. He's like, hey, you should really storm now. And that's when Drogo just storm. But he didn't get the kills. He did a lot of damage, but he didn't get the kills. And it is super important to get the kills. And after he used all those storms, there was only one storm remaining, and that was not enough to keep the bio units at bay. I wish he would have used one storm less when he went for the triple or even quad storm the first time.
It is the issue with playing Storm, right? It's, with Colossus, the Colossus is always going to be able to fire, right? As long as you look after that Colossus and keep it alive, it will slowly put out AoE damage. But with the Storms, once those Storms are used, those Storms really are used. You don't get them back. So, you get them back if you can wait long enough, but HeRoMaRinE isn't going to give you that much time. And yeah, I gotta agree, because there was that moment where it was just, it was stormy outside. There was storms all over the place, but HeRoMaRinE dodged most of them, and then he just gets straight back into fight, and he only has one storm to worry about, and that storm landed okay as well. Just he had all the other units in a concave, so it was never going to clean everything up.
Patience is a virtue in those scenarios for the Protoss, and Storm is really good in dealing damage, but against the high-level Terrans, you know that those Marines are not going to stand in an entire storm. So you'll drop them, but there are medevacs to heal them up again. So it's really important you don't drop all your storms immediately, because yes, then a lot of the bio is low on HP, but it survives, it heals up, and that's when Gabe can go pedal to the metal. If Drogo was just a little bit more patient, because that run by was, 30 SCVs, that's way more than you get with most of your first Zealot run bys. And it's kind of funny, I just had a misclick. I tried to join the lobby, but instead I just got a message, Skystorm MaxPax is now online playing StarCraft. So I invited MaxPax to a party, and he's like, hello, what's with the party invite? I'm like, no, it's a misclick. And he's like, oh, who won? So you can see that MaxPax also was like, this could have gone either way. He's like, I'm curious. I was like, all right, I'll tell you. Don't tell anyone else. It's the 1-0 game. But yeah.
Wow, Roddy spilling the insider information out minutes before it's out on stream. Unbelievable. What have you become? As in the bottom right-hand side. Able to take this 1-0 lead from Mouse Sports. It's our Red Terran player, HeRoMaRinE.
And in the top left side, we're looking at the main base of our French Protoss, who had a good 3-base setup and had Storm. Unfortunately, it was not enough for the W. He is representing Litecoin Gaming. It is PtitDrogo. I was a little bit surprised as well when Gabe decided to send his HeRoMaRinE drop in. I feel normally he only sends that in when the push is really about to hit. But now he kind of used it, I guess, to move out, which, yeah, you can say that makes sense as well. But he really wasn't going to face a lot of resistance anyway on his side of the map. So I was a bit surprised that he went so early with it and didn't really do a lot of damage with the HeRoMaRinE drop either.
Yeah. No, it was just that little bit earlier than we expected it to be, I think, right? Just 2 probes and then medevac try to get away. Yeah, I'm with you. Like you say, these top Terrans, they usually just have it lined up, so it's like, oh yeah, here's my HeRoMaRinE drop, and here's everything else. But this point, maybe he just wanted to get into position more easily, and that's kind of a thing, right? When you're playing against Storm, you don't want to be slowed down by the storm coming across. And maybe just wanted to be able to get in position more easily or so use the HeRoMaRinE drop as a bit more of a distraction prior, for positioning rather than fighting. So that's kind of my only idea for it.
Yeah. I guess he wanted to make sure that Drogo wouldn't have 5 Stalkers out on the map shaving off some Marines. And if that was the case, then at least the drop was going to be successful. And if that's not the case, well, then at least his push is going to make it to the other side of the map with all the Marines. Because he was so tank heavy, if he would have lost 4 or 5 Marines to Stalkers, and then a Storm does land on his bio, and there is a chance that even 7 or 8 Zealots, this is going to be a bit too much to deal with. Especially if the Raven gets feedback too and you don't have another turret. A lot of things, I feel like, really went Drogo's way that game. And that's why it's kind of a shame for Drogo that he wasn't able to get the W in the end.
Yeah, like you say, it definitely felt as though it was putting him in a good position. It was definitely felt like it may have been his map. This time around, we're going to switch it up completely with the Stargate, so no Twilight Council. I think always makes sense on a map like Romanticide. Stargate can give you just so much control, and this larger macro map can really just lead you into those 3-4 bases nice and easily.
Yep, there is no bunker here. So one Reaper and a Marine actually gonna have a tough time against this Adept. Micro, we're gonna get the kill on the Marine. I don't think we're gonna get the Reaper, but we might get the STV. No, he doesn't want to get the STV. He doesn't want to let the Reaper shoot from the high ground. Well done by HeRoMaRinE there. But second Adept shows up, and now this Reaper could still be in a bit of trouble, or at least the STV, boy, they finally.
Well, SCV hides in the corner, and right now the Adepts haven't made a move. No! Our SCV, well, can they punish the Adept for it? Yes, you can. So you actually get an Adept kill. He nearly got the other with the HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, that was close. But I actually think if the mine would have fired, the Adept would have still shaded away in time.
Yeah. That's close, though, for sure. Well, still nice to get rid of one of the Adepts. You get something back for the poor SCV. He lost his life down on that low ground, finished in the command center.
What's actually very big here is to make sure that we can prevent the Reaper from hopping into the main base if we're on Team Drogo. Because at this point, this could be anything, right? This could be DTs, it could be a quick robo. The Reaper is going to hop to the high ground and it's going to see the Stargate, and not just the Stargate. It actually saw the Phoenix pop too. And that's a very big deal for a Terran. Because imagine if HeRoMaRinE would have just picked up his HeRoMaRinE and a couple of Marines, put him in a medevac, send it to the other side of the map, and fly straight into 4 Phoenixes. Now that's a disaster.
Yeah, absolutely is. And just see these few Marines going to have the medevac overhead. Now, Phoenix are finally going to come across the road. You'd have a little bit of a peek at what's going on in the Terran base.
Spots the mine there, I believe, as well. Saw the 3 Marines. Gets a good flyby. Spots the 2-1-1 setup. Sees the medevac is at home. So I think this is kind of everything you look for if you're Drogo.
Yeah, it feels like he's well informed now as to what's up, and he can make his decisions as to what he wants to follow up with. Robo will be done soon. I mean, the expectation of a Phoenix so much of the time is to just go into that Robo Bay, is to go into Colossus. And we'll see if Drogo wants to follow the normal route of production here.
Yep. I wouldn't mind one Immortal either, because I actually think there's a chance that HeRoMaRinE goes for an early move out. You don't want to fly into that HeRoMaRinE. That HeRoMaRinE is still there. But Drogo also didn't see any other units, so he's going to take a look. He's not dropping the Robo Bay yet, but he's also not building an Immortal, and I don't like that. Drogo, you need to start building units, mate, because HeRoMaRinE has a lot of units. Builds the Robo Bay, but I really want to see an Immortal out of Drogo, because I think without the Immortal, it becomes pretty hard.
Yep, especially with that stim being done fairly soon, and then, like you say, you're just kind of rocking the Phoenix. It's going to be tough, because there's no way you buy time to get a Colossus out here either, unless these Phoenix start doing insane amounts of damage or something, so... Oh, not looking good, is it?
Nope, because now, I mean, Drogo now obviously knows that the army is out on the map and it's already ready to hit him. The good news, I guess, is that he doesn't have a Nexus there, but you also don't want to lose 2 pylons, because that's going to supply block you, and that's going to supply block him before he can queue up his first Colossus. So is he just going to YOLO shade on top of all the Marines? Is that going to be it? That is the plan? Is it going to work? I actually would prefer to see him kill the Marines first, but this is still going to be a pretty convincing cleanup by Drogo. Who needs an Immortal if you've got Phoenix to death, baby?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually surprised. It felt like the Widow Mines went off on nothing there. I know they got a little bit of splash out, but I was expecting something more because they were burrowed up and everything. Yeah, really well handled. And just gets the Phoenix in home at perfect time for that fight too, right? So he gets some damage and still gets them back to make use of them defensively.
Wow, and look at the Phoenix count now. I mean, I'm getting Goblin vibes here, because that is a lot of Phoenixes, and since HeRoMaRinE just lost all of his units, it's actually going to be very annoying, because you can't just... Okay, you don't want to lose any Phoenix, but even just 5 or 6 Marines, that's not enough to fight this Phoenix count. With the extra Marines, that is going to be enough, but I feel like it's very doable for Drogo to find damage almost non-stop in the next minute of this game. And HeRoMaRinE is in quite some trouble, man. His third base is going to be quite a bit later, and he's down 13 workers.
Yeah, he is in a really dangerous position. He's going to need to start finding something, right, to kind of get himself back in this. But then what do? You can't drop because of the Phoenix. By the time you get a larger army to push, this time there will be Colossi up. So you are in a little bit of a difficult corner to break yourself out of. I don't know what the move really is for HeRoMaRinE now.
Maybe a 1-1 all-in, or you do just try to sting it out and try to get 2-2 and a Ghost Academy, but I think another small push is just not going to get it done. The Phoenix count is super high. Good job there by Gabe. He does gun 1 Phoenix down and keeps his medevac alive, even if it's super low on HP. He's gearing up for Vikings, so I think it's going to be a 3-base all-in, but no, he cancels the command center, so it's an ultra 2-base all-in. Okay.
I mean, I don't hate it. You're this far behind. I feel like doing something a little bit different like this is much better than just trying to play stand and play back in the macro game. So I can get behind it. You know, it's one of those scenarios as well where if you can just force Drogo into one bad fight initially, that could instantly just be the one fight that you need, right? So I can believe.
You think Drogo has immediately put it together? Like, I feel like he was clicking. He's like, wait a minute. Why is the command center not there? Because he saw it before, obviously. And he is getting a cannon. He's also getting a Templar Archives. I guess this is one of the moments where having an Archon or two to buffer wouldn't it be fantastic? But we are basically all-inning with 2 Vikings into 3 Colossus. Drogo is going to scout. He's going to see that Gabe is fully sending it. I mean, this is as all-in as you can be. Not only a couple of SCVs have been pulled, but there is no eBay, no upgrades, no third base anymore. This is just all in. Drogo, I don't like that Prism, for instance, going out now. Just focus on defending. Like, don't even think about warping in a single unit on the other side of the map.
Yeah, all you need is to hold as the Vikings try and draw this army forward. Here we go. The tank's going to all get lifted. The Marines just can't really do anything about that either, right? I mean, you take down a couple of the Phoenix, but, well, yeah, I mean, this is just it. Can you break through now? No, there's still 3 Colossi there, so looking as though PtitDrogo is going to find the defense, although there's still a bit of buy already. Can they jump on these Colossi?
He really doesn't have to be here. He could have just gone back to his battery and not lose all his Phoenixes. I don't think it's going to change because Drogo is just in such a marvelous spot. But I don't think he really had to be there. But with the extra stalkers, he's going to clean up the Vikings. And that is going to do it. Drogo gets a point on the board. Keeps his hopes and dreams alive in the DreamHack Masters Fall 2021.
Played a good game, right? He was just, you know, we kind of felt, are you prepared for this fight? Like, really? And like, honestly, I was still not convinced until he pulled it off. And he pulled it off beautifully. It was so one-sided. Like I say, to have those Phoenix get back home after dealing damage, he put HeRoMaRinE into an even worse position. Nicely played by Drogo.
He handled that so well because I feel like there's many ways that fight could go. Obviously, a HeRoMaRinE can get a better shot off. You can decide to lift a couple of the Marines because Phoenixes deal double damage against Marines, but they don't deal double damage against tanks. But you want to make damn sure that Adepts don't shoot at mechanical units because then the Adepts lose their double damage, like the extra bonus damage they deal against light, but it almost feels like double damage. So it's like you can also just leave the Phoenixes in the sky to kill the medevacs at first because then you at least know that every stim is really going to hurt. But Drogo was super decisive. He's like, I'm shading in, I'm only making Adepts. I don't have glaives, but that doesn't matter. I just feel that the right amount of Adepts and the right amount of Phoenix is gonna give me a convincing victory here. And yeah, I was like, this is gonna be hard. Never mind, it's a landslide victory for the Protoss. Just really well done by Drogo.
All right, well, now we go to a game 3 on Oxide. What would you like to see Drogo do on Oxide if he's going to win this series, Roddy?
More Phoenix. I mean, Phoenixes are good. And he looked really good now. Obviously, I know Oxide is very different. What about some 4-gate Blinkstalker? I think that's something Drogo is very good with. I think this is a decent map for it. And sometimes HeRoMaRinE does get a bit carried away with his openings. Maybe gets punished for it. Yeah. I don't like. You can say you want to see Phoenix again because it just worked, but first of all, HeRoMaRinE is not going to go for the same build. He's not going to go for the same push, and Phoenixes are just better on the Romantic side than they are on Oxide because Oxide is a lot smaller.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think there's power in switching it up quite a bit as we will go to the top right-hand side. Our Red Terran player who is now tied up. It is HeRoMaRinE.
In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the Frenchman, representing Litecoin Gaming. 1-3 in the group. He needs a victory here. It is PtitDrogo. I actually believe the T is supposed to be silent, right? It's always, whenever we say PtitDrogo around Tut, he's like, it's Petit! And I'm like, what? Petit! I was like, Tut, leave me alone.
I thought that's what I just said. He's like, oh God, I hate you guys.
Yeah. Then he just looks and he does this little shaking his head with a funny facial expression. I'm like, all right, Todd, we get it. You're not happy with our French.
Yeah, I mean, he can be unhappy with it all he likes. That has no impact on me. It's not going to make me better at French.
No, that ship has sailed like 12 years ago when I left high school. or a little more than that. Sometimes I forget how old I am. 17 years. Oh my goodness.
Wow. I feel like that. I don't know what to follow up with that, Roddy. I'm sorry. Just kind of
I know. Just let it sink in. Man. 17 years ago, Roddy was still in high school. His classmates were making fun of him for playing World of Warcraft. And I'm like, I'm not playing World of Warcraft. It's Warcraft 3. They're like, look at that. That nerd cares. Yeah, of course I care. My game is cool.
Man. I'd say the good old days, but I feel like they weren't.
Had its charm. I actually eventually found some friends that also played Warcraft 3, so that was really cool. Anyways, what the hell is happening here? HeRoMaRinE is going for an eBay block, and Drogo is like, alright, I'll just take double gas, and I'm gonna make it seem like I'm not gonna do anything wild. I just really want to expand, man. Look, my probe is still here. I've got a Zealot working on that eBay. But we know there is a second pylon, and it has to be, I want to say for a Stargate, but... Okay, he builds the Twilight Council at home. It's just gonna be... What is this?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe he wants to just power up with gates across the map, like aggressive 3-gate maybe, so it's not quite 4 gates, but then you can be aggressive and sort of go from there. Or maybe we do just Dark Shrine it up. I don't know. It's a fun one, isn't it? A little bit different for sure.
Also a bit scary, of course, if you're HeRoMaRinE. It's also kind of funny how that works. Whereas the Terran player, you're like, yeah, I really want to delay the Nexus. And then you delay the Nexus, but then you also don't see a Nexus. And you're like, uh-oh. What have I gotten myself into?
It's like, you brought this on yourself. You can't complain, you know? Dark Shrine. Well,
if HeRoMaRinE does not scout this, it's going to be in trouble. If the Marines move out, do you think the Marine vision is big enough to see that Dark Shrine? A little bit towards the left. HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah.
One click to the left, but he doesn't quite see it.
Does not, and that means his Marines are kind of in a weird place too. They're kind of watching for units coming across, and obviously, if anything, they're going to go behind. He's actually going to go across with the Cyclone. Is there any potential to deal damage? Well,
yeah.
3 Adepts and a Zealot feels like it should be fairly okay. Might not clean this up immediately, but gives you time to get a warp in, perhaps.
2 more Marines being sent to the other side of the map. They're not going to see it either. I do think that if you're Gabe and you see this opening, it's Zealot and 3 Adepts, and you don't... Hey, he walked past it. He walked past the Cyclone.
Yeah.
The Cyclone is the game saver. Are you kidding me?
Wow. So that's massive. He's still going to decide to go forward, though. He still wants to try and deal some damage. He believes he's going to be able to do enough here, and then obviously still defend at home. So let's see as he moves on through. I mean, he's not wrong. Initially, this is going very well for him. He's going to move up into the main base. He just forced a warp in of a store, because now you maybe can't warp in a DET as quickly as you would have liked to as Drogo. And these 2 Cyclones do very well with 5 probes going down. I mean, the question will always be here, what happens across the map, and what can those DTs do? Is, yeah, great micro to really just excel in this attack. 10 workers down, but DT slipped into the main already.
If you talk about max value, that is max value. But yes, the Dark Templar slipping into the main base. I don't think that was supposed to happen. The Raven is almost out. Scan goes down. DT gets surrounded. DT will fall. 2nd and 3rd Dark Templar are making their way into the natural. No! HeRoMaRinE is making this a little hard on himself. He's not going to get that Dark Templar. Oh, HeRoMaRinE. I mean, sure, you did a lot of damage, mate, but now you're taking a lot of damage too.
Yeah, I mean, at least the Raven's here, so you don't have to scan it again, but is that DT going to clean up pretty much every worker on the natural expansion before this Raven gets over there? And now, got a couple Stalkers that are going to put some damage on the Raven. I feel like that's very hopeful. Maybe a Marine would have been more realistic. Well, HeRoMaRiNE's down by 9 workers coming out of this. He's got the army lead, but of course, attacking really relies on the Raven staying safe, because the moment that Raven goes down, you must have scans available. I guess the good news is it's very difficult to kill the Raven in a game like this one where you don't have Blink as the Protoss player.
This is so crazy, by the way, that Gabe is sending out these units. Okay, I think he was just looking for a DT. I still think it's technically very good for HeRoMaRiNE, but it's also a bit hard to find out where he's at exactly. He's not building SUVs. What is this? It's a full send.
Wow.
What?
It's going to fully commit. I mean, I don't hate it, right? Because he's going to be able to come through and get rid of the Dark Shrine. That's one thing about scouting it initially. So he's not going to need to worry too much about like consistent harassment. Like he'll have, he will clean it up one time and then he's kind of done with it. So I don't hate it, because Drogo really will have a lack of tech. He's going to have charge. He's going to have a lot of Zealots. Is that enough to clean this up? I mean, I'd rather have charge here than anything else, I guess.
There are two people that are gonna all in each other. I feel like Drogo wants to all in HeRoMaRinE, and then HeRoMaRinE wants to all in Drogo. Even though Drogo's up to 40 workers, the fact that he went charge before Blink, that really does tell us something. Drogo's gonna send his War Prism to the other side of the map. This Prism needs to get home ASAP. Drogo flies in, he's like, hey cool, I'm gonna get some SCVs here. Yeah, but there is a massive army knocking on your front door. Oh no, this is bad for Drogo, because he's losing units now. He does use battery overcharge, but he's got no additional units. He's gonna lose the battery, and I think HeRoMaRiNE's army is just gonna be a bit too powerful, man. Like, you need so many zealots to get on top of this many Marines.
Yeah, Drogo's never gonna get there in time, especially now you're losing probes. You just lose the economy you would need to build that amount of zealots. The Archons are still across the map, and, well, I mean, they're doing great picking off reinforcements and stuff, and I mean, that's brilliant, but again, there needs to be a defense here to begin with, and that ain't happening. Now he's going to go for the recall, so now he's going to try and clean this up as he's got HeRoMaRiNE really kind of committed into the main, so this would be it. There's no time to get away. Loses the Prism and Archon in spite of it. That ain't helping.
Oh, what a great auto turret there, by the way. That auto turret actually forced the 4 or 5 zealots to just run into the turrets surrounding it. Auto turrets are very tanky, and that it allowed the Marines without stim to get a lot of shots off, and most of those